Sonia Sotomayor becomes a U.S. Supreme Court Associate Justice. Fox News Sunday host Chris Wallace joining us again as we take a look at now Justice Sotomayor's colleague on the court, Justice Kennedy. Now comes the hard part, Chris. She actually has to go and do the job, and it's a job that unless, as I've been reading, unless you have done it, you have no idea what you're in for.
No, that's exactly right. And one of the points that Justice Roberts, I have to mention this, the fact that Justice Roberts used notes, used the actual statement and read it. Of course, we all remember that during the inauguration of President Obama, he had supposedly memorized it, but then he and President Obama stumbled all over each other during the inauguration, and they ended up having to do it a second time. Clearly, the justice realized that this was not something to trust to his memory, so he read it very carefully, and it went off without a hitch. One of the points he made is the fact that normally the court starts its session the first Monday in October, but in a very unusual step, they are going to rehear a case in September, a campaign finance case, in which it is the possibility that they may really rework what the law of the land is on campaign finance and limits on private donations. And so they wanted a full court, 9 justices for that, and that was one of the reasons that it was important to swear her in now so she can begin to do her work in preparing for a case that is just over a month away.
Chris, a lot of people look to Justice Kennedy as the one judge that they wonder what kind of impact now Justice Sotomayor will have on him. He's a swing voter. What do you think about the fact that he's the only one that attended today, and how do you think they'll get along?
Well, I wouldn't read too much into that. I got to say, these justices have a pretty good deal. You know, they take the summer off, and almost all of them either have summer homes or they go off and teach somewhere, so I don't know that I would read any particular political leanings or judicial leanings into Kennedy's appearance. He probably just didn't have any place better to be today, or maybe he was being polite. You know, it's interesting how this thing evolves, Jamie. Souter, of course, was appointed by George H.W. Bush in the 90s, and he was assured, he, of course, at that time was a state Supreme Court justice in New Hampshire, and he was assured, Bush was, by his chief of staff, John Sununu, the former governor of New Hampshire, that Souter would be a reliable conservative vote. Well, for a couple of years, he was a reliable conservative vote, and then he moved steadily to the left, and by the end, I mean really the last 10 years, he had become an extremely reliable liberal vote on the court. So you never quite know how justices are going to evolve, and chances are that Sotomayor, as she steps up to the big leagues, the Supreme Court, is going to take some while to find her place there. The one point, and this was pointed out in an article I was reading today, it's a different job. As a member even of the Court of Appeals in New York, and that is a big job, you are bound by precedent. In the Supreme Court, now you're not so bound, and basically you can say whatever the precedent is, and that's why obviously there's a lot of frustration on the part of members of the Senate Judiciary Committee when they have these confirmation hearings, because the judge who's up, and whether it's a Republican or a Democrat, always talks about, you know, all the precedents, but once they get on the court, they don't have to rely on precedent. They can do whatever they want, and of course, as a lifetime appointment, there's not much anybody can do about it.